All right, hey everybody, Billy Rainford from Direct Motocross here. We've got a fun one here tonight. As you can see, we've got JSR here. We've got Simon Homans, a guy maybe some of you haven't heard from in quite a while. I know I actually haven't myself. So anyway, the goal here tonight is we want to go over what, if someone asks you what the best race you ever saw in Canada was, a lot of times it comes up to that second moto, 2007, Sandali by Ottawa. So among other things, we definitely want to talk about that. But first of all, thanks, guys, for taking the time to talk with us. JSR, thanks, man.
Hey, no problem. It's a pleasure. Made it.
All right. And Simon, man, great to, dust you off and get you out here and do some talking. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't been to the race too much, but yeah, still love dirt bikes.
Okay, well, before we get into that race that I want to talk about, obviously, I guess we kind of all know what JSR is doing now. Retired 5-time champ, got that record broken by Colton Fasciotti last year, the 6-time champ. But now you're what do we call you? Race director? What do we call you for the KTM team?
What's a race team manager? It's what it says on my business card. And like I like to say in the KTM, we're a big company with a small group of people that are doing big things, sometimes happen to do more than just racing, helping some of the marketing stuff, helping some of the demos, working inside the shop because we moved to a new building 2 years ago. We had some fixings to do, so we do a lot of different things. But my main job, the main title is taking care of racing, and everybody knows at KTM it's all about racing. So touch of course the Motocross factory team, but a lot of the amateur races, a lot of the program with dealers, all the KTM dealers across the country are involved into racing, and we got quite a bit of off-road racing as well, more and more off-road lately, so helping that program as well. So staying busy in that company. So, and now we have Adventure Rally, which is not racing, but it's still involved quite a bit of there's some racing involvement into this the new adventure world, which is pretty big for KTM.
Yeah, I was going to say, adventure racing seems to be something that's really growing in the motorcycle industry. I know you talk to dealers, and it's actually the road stuff is dying. Adventure is picking it all up, so that's a big opportunity for people.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's there was one manufacturer for years in that segment, cruising alone, selling around alone, and KTM came in and hit pretty hard. So we got many different models for adventure, and the actual sport is pretty cool. Like I've done some of the ride and the rally with those guys, and it's different than motocross racing, but it's as intense, and they can be pretty exciting. So pretty proud to be part of that.
Cool. Now, Simon, I know after you left racing, maybe talk about what year that was you left, and then you went on. You had your own track, doing all kinds of stuff. What keeps you busy these days, man? What have you been doing?
Yeah, when I stopped riding nationals, I rode a year or two provincials, but at the same time, I bought a drag strip, what used to be like a racetrack, and 1/8 of a mile drag strip. So it was a track that needed a lot of love and stuff, yeah. And yeah, so I worked hard on that. We built a dirt bike track, motocross track on that land also. But yeah, the dirt wasn't too good, lots of rocks. So yeah, it took a lot of years to get to something that was
rideable.
That was rideable. So now it's a lot better, and yeah, I just have a little more time to start riding a little bit for fun, and yeah, have a little daughter. She's 4 now, so just life's changing. But I'm still around, racing and motors and stuff. A little bit of cars, a little bit of dirt bikes, but still love it. But it's just a little different point of view than it used to be 10 years ago, I would say.
Okay, where's home for you?
It's still in Sherbrooke. Yeah, still the same place. Actually, the drag strip that I bought is like 5 kilometers away from where I used to live at my parents, where my track and my garage was back in the day, where I rode all my life, basically. And yeah, one day the city said you can't ride here anymore. So I said, where can I ride? He said, 5 miles away from here, right at the drag strip. You can build a track there if you want. So that's when it all started with the drag strip. And when I started racing a little less, I was 28, 29 back then, and it was around 2008 or 9. But those years when they were pretty tough for the industry also, and the sponsorship and the money. 2007, 8, 9, where all the big thing went down for the economy went down. So for me, it was time, I guess, to do something else, and the timing was good.
Okay. Now, was this your greatest race of all time?
Yeah, it was for sure. A very good race. Yeah, it was good. I got a little bit lucky there, I would say. JSR started went down early in the moto, and then he had that flat tire. And you need a little bit of luck sometimes when you're in the racing. But yeah, I would say it was for me. That and winning Montreal Supercross MX2 was pretty good too. But yeah, that was, I don't know. It's a tough call, but it's for sure in the top 3.
All right. I just did a couple screen grabs because I don't have my hard drives with me. I got tons of photos of that day. I only had a few that I could get, so I took some pictures of the screen so I could show people if they haven't seen it. But I even I've got your victory speech here too. It's kind of good. So we'll play that later at the end.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool,
the track
man.
was awesome. The track was gnarly. I mean, it was big, whooped out, square wedge everywhere. I can remember that. It was awesome. It was I got lucky too that it was like the old Colton, like GSR said. I mean, probably he got a little tired after a few laps too, so it gave me a chance to.
And I think Saint-Denis is always a good track to race on. It. There are a lot of places to pass, and like Simon said, it gets super rough, but there's still many different lines and to make passes, and you can plan a pass like 2-3 corners, prior to, and it's. I think always we've seen quite a few good races there. So
yeah, that's a great track. Yeah.
And anyone who's watching this, man, you got to take 2007. Saint-Denis National. Go watch that. The second moto you got to watch it and check it out. The first one, it wasn't so, I think you won by like 20 seconds, the first one, JSR. So that one wasn't as exciting. And Simon, if you remember, I think you went down. You were way at the back or something off the start.
Beaton. I clipped the rear wheel of Beaton, I think, if I remember well. I was like, it was early moto. I was like an 8. I started far back, came back in 8, somewhere top 10 or something like that. And he clipped my front end when I tried to pass him, and it was all tweaked. But yeah,
right now,
I would have had the overall if it wasn't like that.
Yeah, of course, right? Hey, now, JSR tangled up in the second turn. He had troubles too. He had to restart his bike and everything in that first moto. He was messed up. And I bet a lot of people would lose this trivia question if you asked them if Kyle Beaton had ever raced a 450 national, and it was in 07. Like, I bet you a lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
Actually,
he raced St. Julie also.
I think it's when we had the East and not. I think I know it was East and West Coast back then.
Yeah.
And he must have, since he was full time with the team with Blackfoot Yamaha, we brought him out east, and he had to ride a 450 because he was racing west on the 250. I think that would be the case. But yeah, when you said that, Kyle Beaton, I don't remember seeing him on the big bike. But yeah, that was probably one of his only race on big bike.
Yeah, right, the year before he did the East also, I think. The year before, because he came and he raced under my awning, and I think it was one of my bike. Well, I'm not too sure.
East on 250, and then on 250F.
No, on the 450.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like the year before that one, I think. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Or maybe it was even that year. that I think maybe that year, but beginning of the year. Well, anyways, I'm not too sure. No, that year he rode for Blackfoot.
Yeah, he rode for Blackfoot in 08, 9, I think.
Okay. Well, anyways.
7, 08, 09, yeah. Him and Fasciotti, 2 kids. I was dealing with those 2 boys, those 2 little freaking young BC kids that
Nick
were
Avenue.
eating fruit. Yeah, Nick Avenue. That's yeah. But yeah, so that's yeah. It's been a while. I had a blast with those guys. Cal, pretty good rider, super fast guy. So he had some bad luck, but he should have won more races in his career for sure.
Right. Yeah, I spoke to him a couple weeks ago. He went over that his injury and everything like that. It was obviously brutal. Ankle. But okay, so that first moto, Colton Fasciotti was way out in the lead. And then Jeff Gibson, who a lot of people probably forget about too, who's up here, he was a 102 that day. You had to get around a bunch of guys, JSR. You got by him, and then Colton was out there quite a ways, and you closed in on him, if you remember that first moto.
Yeah, Gibson did some very, very good motos in that area. He was pretty fast. He was this quiet rider, quiet kid, but pretty solid. Like came in with his fitness was pretty good. He had some good settings, so he did some pretty strong motos and finishes. And Colton back then he was pretty young in 2007 and 8, so raw talent, raw speed, great start. He had a good setting, good bike, and less experience, of course, than myself and Simon. So when we beat him, it was due to the experience or fitness, because Simon and I were pretty on it on training. We've done quite a few winters training together, and Simon was probably one of the only guys that I trained with that kind of matched my training schedule. So we got along pretty well on that side. So I think we beat those kids, and I beat Colton that time because of the fitness, So and overall experience, but some good racing for sure.
Yeah, no, I know. I went down. I got to go to my archives. I can find shots of Simon and you guys down there at GPF way back then too, all training together and stuff like that. And you know what? You mentioned JSR that in the interview there on the broadcast that you hadn't been racing much that season and were just kind of coming back. What can you tell us what was going on that year?
Yeah, that's 2007. I knocked myself to racing a local race in Quebec on the off weekend. Just went to a race, was 30 minutes from my house, and I really came there, kind of overconfidence or not focused enough or whatever, just cruising around, and I lost the front end on the tabletop and land on my head and totally knocked myself, and didn't have enough time to recover before the next national round. So I skipped, 1 or 2 rounds, and then after that, I said, might as well, skip many races, make sure I come back and healthy. So I came back just by the end of the year. I think Sandeli was one of the round that I came back. I missed after the series, so that was the reason that I didn't race much in 07.
Okay, gotcha. Now
in 2007, yeah.
Now we know obviously you were on the Blackfoot team. Simon, who were your sponsors? What team were you on then? What were we calling that one?
Yeah, it's always pretty much all my career. I did my own stuff kind of, and I had very good support from Yamaha for many years. I got to thank John Bayliss for that. He was just really supporting small structure like mine, and yeah, it was SHR Racing and importation. Thibault there was a big part of the success, and just making it a lot easier on me, and just that very good relationship with Yamaha and Thibault made I had a few proposals for some teams, but I mean those 2 big partners were just we had such a good relationship, and I never really felt the need to go for a big team, and that just worked good for me.
Okay. Now, Also, JSR, if you remember this too, I ask you this question because you're on the same team with Blair Morgan was also making passes, and he had some bike troubles that seemed to be getting him that season. What was going on there? Electrical or something?
I have to ask his mechanic. I don't remember that. That year he had bike problem. Forgot what I know he ran to a few. He had his own team as well. He had his own program as well during that period. And then he came back with us with Blackfoot. But it was the first of 2004, 5, 6, 7. You have to remember, it's the 4-stroke was coming in, and they were not quite perform as they are right now. So we had some electronic problem. Fuel pump ran out of fuel, and Gopher, like everybody knows, for some little stupid mistake. But we were all learning from that new generation of 4-stroke. So some of the guys had issues with electronical and bikes. So that's probably it.
Okay. Now, so just to kind of recap the first moto, JSR, you won this first one by like 20 seconds. Then it was Fasciotti, Gibson,
yep.
Paul Carpenter actually clinched the title that first moto, right? Now he was 101.
Yep.
Keith Northrup, Gray Davenport, Marco Dubé, Ryan Lockhart was 9th. And then Simon, you climbed your way up. You're a minute 32 down at the checkered flag, but you were 10th in that first moto. So obviously you had the speed. And then the second moto, we got to just talk about that. Like, it's just insane. Let's get to that one there. You picked somewhere near the middle of the doghouse for the start. JSR was close to the inside. Man, what happened there? Simon, you obviously got out to a great start, or top 5.
Yeah, top 5.
Saint-Denis start. What a challenge there. That start.
That first hairpin. The first hairpin, like deep sand, you're like
always nervous. So nervous there to make it to the first corner. If you don't make it to the first corner,
it was
screwed.
Survival to the first corner for sure. Started, I remember that I passed Gibson and Fasciotti at the same spot right there after the finish.
The tabletop there, the tunnel table.
Yeah, I remember that very clearly. But and honestly, I never really appreciated the old moto when I was riding it. I mean, it was hard pump. I would try to push and try to have a gap them, and then I would gap them for a half a second or a second and take it easy for a lap or two, and they would just ride back on me, and it was. And then at the end, I think when GSR came in the mix and had his flat tire, he gave me a little bit of breathing room. But so I thought I had I think 2 or 3 seconds coming into the last lap, and I just took it way too easy. And 2-3 corners to go, Carpenter was just charging hard, and he was, next thing I know, in that big sweeper before the roller, before the finish line.
The mechanics, huh?
Yeah, I look on the side, and I can see his front wheel right there. I'm like, no. There was like 500 feet to go. I was like, dude, it's not gonna happen. and it was just it was an epic moto, and for me it was survival. The old moto. My arm was just so pumped, and I wanted to go a little faster, as I think I could have, but as soon as I was trying, once you start having hard pump in a moto, there's no way you're getting out of it. I mean,
and it's more. I think when you're up front like this, like he was, it's more pressure. It's harder to breathe, and it's way tougher, way harder mentally and physically to be up front and getting charged by 4 or 5 madmen behind him and try to. I always find out being more. My best races, my fastest, and I think best races starting from far back, because you kind of forget everything. You have no pressure. You just go for it. You have nothing to lose. So the stress factor is not there. So you don't really have arm pump when you start from behind. You get arm pump when you go up front. So that's almost an advantage sometimes. Sometimes is to follow the leader, follow the top 3 guys. So you can breathe better and see when those guys hit the rough section of the track. So they make the mistake and you avoid the mistake when you're behind. When you're up front, you're the big, you're the big tractor opening up the track and trying to make your line. So much easier to go from top 4, 5, 6 to go up front, in my opinion.
Unless you're pulling away and you've got like a 20-second lead, then it's kind of nice. But when you're the longest race of your life, when you're leading and the guys are all over you, huh, Simon?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They were just, and I could see, like, at first it was Colton behind me, and then all of a sudden I think Gibson came back, and then it was just, and then JSR and then Carpenter, what's going on behind? Usually, when you're out front, or there's always a 1 or 2 guy that you see the whole race. And then it was just like I saw pretty much half of the field behind me for like a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Saint-Denis with all those switchback, it's easy to look on the side and see what's coming.
You can see what's going on a little more.
Yeah. There's a lot of 180. You go back, it's stressful because the track is fairly tight in the middle field, so you can. When you're getting chased by guys, that you do a 180, as soon as you're finished your 180, you can look on your side and you see those guys coming at you. So kind of hard to stay calm and focused there.
Yeah, it's okay to look back. It's okay to look back and see the same guys. When you see a new guy showing up, you're like, oh man, this guy's closing on us all.
Exactly. But when I remember when they showed, I was riding and then I was like, man, I must have missed halfway flag, and then all of a sudden, I passed to the where they had that finish line, and then he shows me halfway. I'm like, dude,
I'm not gonna make it.
I was like, I must have missed it. He must have. She's gonna show me like 2 laps to go in the lap or 2. That's okay. I'll deal with it. And then 2 laps later, he shows you half race. You're like, oh, fuck it. And I was like, man, fuck it.
That tells you how much pressure you get when you're right up front.
Oh,
and you don't have a big gap. It's just everything is so long. It takes, I know exactly what you mean, Simon. When you show up, you're expecting the white flag. You're like, man, I missed halfway for sure. Like and the referee pulled halfway. You're like, boom.
Yeah. You're like, man, what you doing? No, it's 2 laps.
It's funny when you're like when you're in 4th and you're trying to catch the leader, you love that. But when you're leading, you're like, kidding me.
Yeah, especially if you're hard to breathe and you got your arm pump and you're like, man, I want the race to end. Then it's half lap. You're like, Jesus. But hey, that's that's where you reach deep and that's what it is.
Okay, so when hey Simon, when you passed Colton, like you guys were having a great battle there for a while. You passed him right in that spot where you mentioned the tabletop over the tower. You came around and super rutted out that next jump after the left turn. You pulled the pair off. Was that like you barely had time to? Was that just to kind of show Colton like beat it, or is that just obviously?
No. I think it was just I need to know where I'm going, and track was rough, and there's not too many big jumps either in Saint-Denis. When you think about it, so. I mean,
now these days a little bit more, Simon, but they had a few big tabletop now in the back section that give these guys a bit of a break.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember
back then you couldn't. I mean, there was not one place when you were down, when your wheels were touching the ground. Sometimes like Walton, there's a long straight that doesn't get that rough. You can pull it rough there, but Saint-Denis, you forget it. And not many big jumps, so I mean, I guess I wasn't seeing much for a few corners, and it was time to pull it off. No, I just I wasn't passing any message to Colton there.
Okay, how about that last turn? You mentioned the one before that. The last turn, Carpenter basically almost cut across the field. Like that line kept getting more and more inside.
Yeah, but it was lucky for me. It was off camber, so I had the advantage of that little rut there that was in the middle. So, but I just
Well, man, if you're watching this, you have to go again. Go on YouTube. Go 2007 Saint-Denis and JSR. When you were out there, and all of a sudden you got a flat tire, and it was like, oh man, what's going on? We're like, oh, flat tire. Were you getting the pit signs of where you had to finish to get the overall? Like, did you know the math?
I think at that moment, when it gets that intense and you're in the top 5, you kind of lose your mind a little bit. Like I didn't really bother much about the pit board. And San Billy, the pit board area, it's always,
Yeah,
it's
right. And
high
those,
speed. There's a little chicane and there's huge braking bumps there, and it's just the worst place of the track. So be honest, didn't really look much at the pit board. I just wanted to, just like all of us, but just give it all and wanted to win. And didn't think too much at the overall. I've done in the past, though, I'll be honest with you, I've dealt in the past where I wanted to get the overall and I back up a little bit second moto to get the overall and get the championship point and the checks. But this time I was just wide open, and I got a flat tire. I think I didn't notice for a while, and I just, didn't really slow down and just kept going with the flat tire. Bike was going all over the place. I was dead tired. I didn't have any more tear off. So it was kind of a bonsai. This whole race ended up like all of us wanted to win. All of us were tired. All of us were wide open. The track was beat up. Last race of the day. So I don't know. I just did what I was doing best and hold it pin and try to win moto. Didn't have much planning, and didn't have much. It was just there turning the throttle. That's it. Try to survive and win.
Well, during the broadcast, I mean, Coster and Travers, they always had the benefit of doing the voiceover after the race. That wasn't, didn't do it live. But Brian Coster called it the greatest race of the decade. And then, he also said insane in the membrane. So I'm not sure how much credit. But man, I tell you, the podium went JSR, Paul Carpenter, and then Jeff Gibson were the top 3. Where did you end up in the overall, Simon?
I don't know.
Fifth?
I don't know. I don't remember.
To put that on the broadcast, and I can't find the archives.
I don't know. I think I was. I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember. But I remember though that I was. That first moto, I was like, man, you never can say if when it's racing. If doesn't count. But still, it was. I think that the first moto I could have. I don't think I would have had the overall, but I think I would have been close to top 5. But
I remember
fifth or sixth, something like that. 4th maybe. I don't know. Overall.
Yeah, I mean the overall. I mean getting overall, Billy. Like we're, like I said, sometimes we we're smart enough to manage the race and try to win an overall, or I'm going to focus and get second overall or third. But most of the time, the top guys we're racer and we want to win. So, and we can be, our brain can shut off and be pretty dumb sometime and just pin the bike and just want to win a moto and don't really think of the championship or the overalls. So that happens sometimes, especially when you get intense like it was there. So we're just wide open and try to be the best out of that race. So
actually, if you ask me today, knowing what I know, if I would have rather went 3-3 and won the overall that day, or 10-1 in that second moto and get whatever the overall, I mean that I would have choose 10-1. I mean that second moto was just.
But we may not be talking right now then, because that one is the greatest.
It was people. Like you said, Billy, earlier, people keep talking about to me about that moto. I mean, like we're barely 15 years later almost,
Well, that's pretty cool to be part of that. Anyway, I mean that's awesome. So, anything else you guys want to say while we have you here? Or, I mean, we could do a whole couple hours with each of you individually, but the point of this one was to kind of talk about that race and stuff. But anything else you want to say before we let you guys go?
Simon, you still deal with your. You still have your other business, your restaurant. You're still busy with this.
No, restaurant
sold it. Yeah. Sold, yeah, that's right. You're back.
I sold my restaurant almost. Actually, it's gonna be a year in a week, like the 15th of May. Last May, I sold my. Billy, I had I didn't say that, but in the between, I had a kind of a restaurant bar, kind of, and
It was pretty. It was a pretty happening place. It was pretty nice. Been there a few times, and Yeah, did for what, 10 years almost?
7 years, yeah. It was demanding, especially with my little daughter and all that. You know, it's not really owning a restaurant club kind of is not really a family lifestyle, I would say. So it was fun when I was 30, not so fun when I was 35. So, but I'm glad I did it.
I'm glad. I'm sure you're glad now that you sold it.
Yeah, the whole thing. The last 2 years I owned that, I was tired of it. But no, yeah, so it's good. And
up till 4 every night and sleep till noon. What, you get tired of that?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my lifestyle. Like JSR said, we really we got along together because, you know, we like to went to bed early and get up early and go train. So we were a good fit for training partners. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, the restaurant, I'm sure,
and having shooters up to 3 a.m. and waking up at noon. It was okay for a couple of years, and then you're like, okay, I just took like 25 pounds. I go upstairs a set of stairs for like one floor, and I'm just barely can't make it to the top. I'm like, nah, okay, I'm not going in the right direction right now.
Hey, they got rid of the maximum time limit on this thing, but it's showing less than a minute left, so I don't want it to cut off. So let's pretend.
All right.
Let's pretend we're finished right now. I'm not sure if it's going to keep going or not. It normally was.
Okay.
But
no problem.
Dudes, thank you very much for doing this, man. It's been a blast talking, and obviously I want to talk to each of you individually more in the future.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome.
Thanks,
guys.
Billy,
thanks for the memories, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, go watch the video, everybody. We'll see you guys.
All right, take care.
Thanks a lot.
Cool, guy. Okay,
ciao.
Billy. See you later.